Okay, so what we got here are the basic ingredients to cast a Bigfoot track. I've got some plaster pairs here. I picked this up at Michael's craft store. We'll be using some popsicle sticks to help reinforce the track because they always seem to break at the metatarsal break. A cup for measuring water. We've got some water, some bags. I'll show you how to mix it efficiently, and you can carry this in your backpack when you're in the field, and you don't have to carry all this. You can pre-measure out your plaster in these bags. I'm using plaster pairs today because it's a cheaper alternative. Since this is just a test and it's just a demonstration, I'm using plaster pairs. Normally I would use dental stone. You can find that stuff online. You can also use hydrocal. A couple other things out there. I also did see a trick where somebody used inflatable expanding foam insulation and spray that into the cast and then cover it with a piece of cardboard. Those are just some ideas, but this is you can use this. You just have to be a little bit careful with the plaster. It breaks real easily, but people used this for years and years and years. The Patterson footage was actually cast in plaster pairs, so people have been using it. It's tried and true. So, but we're going to be using it today for this demonstration. Alright, so what we're doing, we just took some ordinary play sand. I picked this up at Home Depot for a couple bucks for this demonstration. But we've poured sand out on the base, and then we're going to mix some water with it to moisten it because sand generally will not hold a print. And you'll find that on some of your Bigfoot tracks that you'll find on sandbars and creeks. You won't get a complete impression. You'll just get an impression, not a track. So we're going to demonstrate. We're going to try to moisten this up with some water, and then we'll be right back. I want to point out too, between a Sasquatch track and a known, this is a human foot. We know that. It's just a test. You don't see a pressure ridge that you would normally see in the metatarsal break of a squatch. His heel hits first, and then as his toes push off, it creates a ridge right in this area. We don't see that, but we know this is a human track. So, but you'll also notice the direction the toes go. They go back. A squatch toes generally run almost straight across.
Gotcha.
And you'll have a metatarsal pad here. And that's one of the ways to identify it. All right, so here we go. We're measuring out 2 cups of plaster. And then we're going to add 1 cup of water to that mixture. This is 2-to-1 ratio on the mixture. Okay. And that's pour a cup of water. This is another reason to bag this stuff up at home. It's a whole lot easier to do, and you don't have to mess to deal with. You just have to add the water in the field. Zip it up there, good and tight, and just knead it and mix it until it's thoroughly mixed. You want to get all the clumps out. You don't want any bubbles. Bubbles will cause your track to be weakened. Alright, now Matt has thoroughly mixed a bag of cast material, the plaster, and he's going to pour it into the track.
Okay.
And I always start at the toes and work my way back, and you just go real slow because this stuff will come out and dump it all at one time and make a mess. But you just want to pour it all, cover the whole track. And it's okay if it goes over the edges a little bit. You do want it to go over the edge, but be sure and get all the toes filled up. And something else I forgot to talk about, when you do find a track, don't remove too much material out of the track. Sometimes you'll get a stick or a rock or some leaves. Hit that heel back down there a little bit more on yours. There you go.
Cool.
So, but don't take away too much. Sometimes that's perfect. Sometimes you can, if you have a good enough track and it's in the right type of soil, the right environment, you can find dormal ridges.
Cool.
So we'll let that set up for 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to smooth it out a little bit and pretty it up, but that's it in a nutshell. And we'll be back and we'll show you how to lift that cast. What we're going to do, we're just going to smooth this plaster out a little bit before it sets up and make sure it's got all the bubbles worked out. Push it, make sure it's all to the edges. Smooth it out. That way when you put it on your mantelpiece or your cast collection, it's unique. And I always use these popsicle sticks. I'll embed a couple of them into the plaster to kind of help strengthen. This little small cast is only going to take one. Normally with a squatch track it would take two, but just kind of embed them in there, press it down, and that's going to help strengthen that cast once it's set up so it doesn't break on you. Okay, so we waited 30 minutes for this plaster to harden. We think it's hard enough to lift, and while we were waiting, the Bigfoot showed up. The fake Bigfoot showed up for the fake Bigfoot track. Ha! Anyway, Matt here is going to try to lift it, and we'll show you how to take care of that cast afterwards.
All right, what's the best approach?
I would just go from the edge here and just kind of slowly lift on it.
Lift or pry?
Yeah, just kind of pry on it just to see how it's...
Can I?
Yeah, at this point, you're not worrying about messing the track up.
Okay, so I can kind of start chewing it out if I need to.
Yeah, now those little edges there will probably break. That will break off, but yep. So you should just kind of pry it up.
Yeah, I'm just being real conservative. I don't.
And once we lift this, now it's still not going to be ready to rough handle. It takes a good day to dry completely before you want to try to clean it up to get the excess sand off of it, or dirt, or sticks, or leaves. Normally on a Sasquatch track you won't find a cast medium as fine as play sand or builder sand. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes only, but you will still have some debris that will stick to the track. And after a day of drying, you can go in and with a soft...
That's gonna be gone.
Yep, you can go in with a soft brush and clean that track up for display. And for further study, there have been some tracks in the right soil conditions that will show dermal ridges.
Now, how heavy is this going to be?
This track?
Yeah,
there's only maybe
start to dig under it.
A half a pound. I would lift it from the dead center.
Lift it from the dead center.
Yep. And then once you lift it, just flip it just in one motion. Just kind of flip it over. Yeah, you can dig out from under it.
That might be better.
Just get down and dirty.
What'd you learn today in school?
Yeah, this is actually Matt's very first casting. This is a lesson for him as well. So
all right, she's moving.
Yep, it should all come out in one piece.
Okay.
All right, then when you lift it, support it with one hand when you flip it over.
Okay. Tell you what. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get up. Okay.
Just go ahead and do it, and we'll do it from right there. Just flip it over, and there is your cast. And it's too wet right now to clean up, but we'll do another video and we'll clean it up and we'll show you how to clean up a cast. Well, on this track, one of the first things you want to notice, we can tell it's human by the fact that up here behind the toes is kind of a V shape. And even on this track that we purposely made in sand, he's got 5 toes, I assure you, but only 4 of them showed up. The 5th toe did not print.
Yeah.
But you can see the arch, inside arch of his foot. And Matt's flat-footed, but he still has the arch.
Yeah.
A Bigfoot does not know that. And if you look at the track, and I could hold it up on the edge, you'll look, there's no metatarsal break. All you see is a flat ridge. There's no break.
Yeah.
And you can see that the heel is so much deeper, and the toe is so much deeper. It's because as a human being, we land on our heel and we push off on our toes. But that again is a human track.